Hello, Catherine.
Hi, Melinda.
Yeah, how are you?
I am so good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Sorry for the delayed session due to an emergency. We are running late. Uh, and welcome to the Global Virtual Summit 2025.
Okay. Do you
Yeah,
see it? Okay. Are we all good?
yes. And before starting your session, I want to introduce you to our audience, Catherine.
Okay.
Yes. Uh, Catherine is a retired corporate leader with 30 years of experience at Caterpillar and Purina, where she mentored hundreds of young professionals and breast cancer survivors. Following retirement, she founded her own mentoring business, Mentoring Women Millennials. She is the author of Rockstar Millennials, Developing the Next Generation of Leaders, and its companion workbook, Rockstar Millennials Toolkit. Catherine also hosts a Rockstar Millennials podcast and leads with gratitude women's retreats. As a motivational speaker and leadership workshop facilitator, she continues to inspire and develop future leaders. That was really a great bio, Catherine, and the stage is all yours.
Thank you. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining me today. So, our thought today is how do we develop this next generation of leaders, even beyond millennials? What the emerging leaders, what I find in my business is these are young leaders who haven't had a good example of leadership, or they're young entrepreneurs. They didn't expect to lead. They wanted to start a business and now they're leading people. Um, and so my book was written for both of those audiences. So when we talk about emerging leaders, what are they looking for? What is it that they want? Here are a handful of things. They want a mentor, not a manager. They want straight feedback, honest. They want to be developed for their next level. They want flexibility, and that often includes remote work. And culture is very important to them. Now, what does culture have to do with business? And we've heard from some other great speakers today talk about culture. Here's some more research from Michael Bush. He is the CEO of Best Companies to Work For. And I know firsthand from working at Purina and from Caterpillar that we always wanted to be on that Fortune 100 list. We'd watch for it to be published and then promote it. It affirmed for our employees that this was their voice, that it was a good place to work. It also helped us with attracting new employees. So when we looked at that research, we found that companies with happy employees deliver. They deliver 3 times the revenue growth. They outperform the stock market by a factor of 3, and there's 50% less employee turnover. And each of those things go right to the bottom line. So there's a business case for happy employees. Now, the number one differentiator in the research was this question. How are you treated by your leaders? So I'd like you to think for a minute, what if you were in a culture where people were cherished? When I worked at Purina, this was their mission statement. We cherish our people. It didn't say anything about revenue growth or the stock market or new product introduction. It said we cherish our people. So we think about that word cherish. What does that mean to you? Oftentimes people will say it means valuable. It means priceless, maybe one of a kind. And we can cherish things or people or both. Sometimes those are our fur babies, littles in our life. If you've been blessed enough to be around a relationship or a marriage that has lasted for decades, you see that sort of interpersonal relationship where people are cherished. When my grandmother passed away, we found my stack of letters hide in a ribbon that I'd written, all the letters I'd written to her in college, and she saved them. And how do you suppose that made me feel? Cherished. So what if we were to do that same thing at work? Let's look at a company that has done that well. So Purina, this creating that culture of feeling cherished was part of their leadership model. And here was kind of their formula for leadership, that we introduce a concept, we illustrate it with a story, and then we activate that with a tool. So at Purina, the first day you're given this book. It's written by William H. Danforth, who is the chairman and the founder. And he wrote this book, I Dare You. I dare you to be the best you can be and help someone else do the same. Now, he created Purina in the 1950s. He had established the Youth Foundation in St. Louis, and he found once he got those kids out of gangs and out of jail and off drugs, no one would hire them. So he created a company to hire those kids, Purina. And they told us on our very first day at orientation, never confuse what we make with why we're here. We're here to develop people for life. That's how our company was created, and that's why our company was created. So they introduced that concept of cherishing people with a story. And they wrote it down. And then they passed it on. The tool they used to activate it and continue that culture for decades was mentoring. And what we learned there the first day was they had 360-degree mentoring. So as you left orientation, you were going to meet your leader mentor, your peer mentor, and they said in 90 days you'll be mentored. Everyone at Purina mentors. We all learn from each other. So just think about that. As an individual, how valued would you feel if you first day had 2 mentors helping you, and you knew you were going to learn and grow to the point that in 90 days you could be mentored, and that everyone learned from each other? So it was very much a tapestry of a culture. It wasn't one leader, it wasn't one incident, it wasn't one mentor, it wasn't one mentee. Everyone learned from each other. What a wonderful. So here are some of the things that, as leaders, we were challenged to find out about our folks, and as mentors, the same thing. Know your people. That was the fundamental thinking of mentoring. What do you know about your people? Now, here are some of the questions that we asked. We wanted to know about, what are your favorite things? What do you like to do outside of work? Also, what are some of those things that revitalize you? And we wanted to know that. And the first day they asked me, what are 3 things that revitalize you? And as a working mom with young children, I was like, I don't even know. I forget, right? Some of you may have been in that boat too. But coming back to center and saying, okay, what are 3 things that revitalize you? It's okay, for me, it's a walk outside, notes or cards from friends and family, and also fresh flowers. And those were things I could incorporate into work. And my mentor and my leader helped to hold me accountable. Have you taken a walk outside? Do you have fresh flowers on your desk today? We also asked about values. What are your personal values? Very often we hear hard work, kindness, transparency, or honesty. And why is that important? A couple of reasons. Number one, just knowing what those values are, asking that person what their values are, engages them. Just the very idea that they're being asked, that's important. So that's number one. Number two, you can recognize them for it. And we recognize people for their work, for their accomplishments, for meeting their goals, but you can also recognize them for living their lives, which is so intrinsic to them and is much more engaging. Say, I saw you act with kindness there. Thank you for that. Or I appreciate your hard work and I see it demonstrated in this project. Another way to utilize that information as a leader is if you have to frame a conversation. And if honesty or transparency is one of someone's core values, to be able to say, you know what, we need to have an honest conversation today, and I'm going to be very transparent with you with some developmental needs that I see. You see how that can work in leadership and how it can be so much more personal and impactful for the individual. Your accomplishments. Talk to me about your top 10 list. What are the things that you are proud of, that you've accomplished, that you've learned? And I want to have those in my mind. Because again, I want to recognize you for those. And I want to remind you the person who did those things can do wonders. How do they like to be recognized? One of the required reading books at Purina was the 5 languages of appreciation in the workplace. And many of you may be familiar with this. And talking to folks about what is your language of appreciation, and there are 5. Words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, tangible gift, and a personal or physical touch. Talk to them about that. How do you like to be recognized? And do you like it to be just personal or something more? Work styles. How do you do your best for work? Talk to me about that. Who is your best boss? Not a name, but how did they interact with you, and how did you interact with them? What does success look like? We're going to circle back to this more in a minute. What does success look like for you in this role? Why do you want to succeed? And why do you want the company to succeed? 3 very important questions that really get to someone's underpinnings of purpose. When you talk to them about why they want to succeed or why they want the company to succeed, that's about their purpose. So it's important information. Creating a hero page. That was something else that we were asked to do as leaders. Create one for ourselves. And you're my hero. And here's why. Also for the people that are on your team, the people that you lead. Maybe your colleagues, maybe your boss. But a hero page is a page where you would capture all of this information that you're learning. Now, why a hero page? A couple of reasons. Number one, it's like journaling. When you have a page specifically for that person, you want to put something on it. You want to learn something. And record things you learn. All of these sorts of things, as well as things that you respect and admire. Now, why is that important? How would you use that information? As a leader, you're going to have a tough day with that person at some point. And when you do, you can go back to their hero page and put it in. Yeah, we're having a tough day today, but here are the things that I respect and admire. And perspective. Sometimes they're going to have a tough day. And what a gift you would be to them as a colleague, as a leader, as a team member, for your leader, to remind them, hey, I made an entry on your hero page today. And I just want to remind you, here are the things that I respect and admire about you. Here are the things I've learned from you. And give them that boost. Fostering positivity and offsetting negativity. 2 very valuable things and important things in a culture where people feel cherished. Good gossip is easy. Works the same way as bad gossip. So we all know how to do it. Learn something about someone, tell 3 people. What if we were intentionally doing that? At Purina, we often said positive or productive. And not everything we say is going to be positive, but it can be productive. And that we can be productive by asking how and what questions. Those lead to a solution. Why questions are emotional. Why'd you do that? These are emotional. Downward spiral. How could we do that differently next time? What would have made this situation better? Those are questions that lead to solutions, and they're productive. it also works at home. You can tell your children, and I did with my children. And they understood that this is going to be part of the way we live and work together. We're going to be positive and productive. Forgiveness is part of leadership. That's something I learned the hard way at Purina. I had come from the publishing world, so leadership in a corporate environment was new to me, and particularly leading in a values-based culture where people feel cherished was new. And I remember saying to my leader, I don't know what's so hard about leadership, you just tell people what to do. I was a lousy leader and had a lot to learn. And then came my first employee opinion survey. It was awful. The comments were awful. The scores were awful. There was some very critical, poignant comments about me personally. And I took it hard. And so the next day I came into my office, closed the door. They don't want to talk to me. I don't want to talk to them. My leader is Neil Lewis. He gave me a little time to cool off. And then he came in and he saw notes on my desk. He knew that was one of the things that revitalized me. And he picked up one of those cards and handed it to me and said, I want you to read this to me. I said, you can read it. And he said, no, I want you to read it to me out loud. So I read it out loud. Some very kind words from someone on my team. And he said, is that the leader you are today? And I said, no, but in my defense, those people were mean to me. They said some hurtful things in that employee opinion survey about my leadership, about me as a person. I said, okay. Yeah, Catherine, do you know what the bridge is? When we think about leadership, our role here is to give first and give again. That's our job as leaders. Do you know what the bridge is between giving first and giving again? And he said, 4. I said, I'm not tracking with you, Neil. And he said, forgive. And I said, oh, forgiveness. He said, no, forgiveness is a noun. It's something someone else does. Forgive is a verb. And that's what I need to see you do. Forgive. It's an important part of leadership, Catherine. And until you master forgiveness, you will advance in leadership. The lesson learned. All right. Aligning work with purpose. This is so critical, particularly for emerging leaders. In one of the earlier slides, I asked the question about success. What does success look like for you? Why do you want to be successful? And why do you want the company to be successful? Here's how I learned that lesson, also from Neil Lewis. He was a turnaround guy in Purina, so he went from division to division, turning them around, making them efficient, productive, profitable. And he knew the basis of that was culture and creating that cherished culture. And a new part of that was aligning work with purpose. So here's how he went about it. He brought us all together and he said, now, I'm a turnaround guy, new to this group. We have 18 months to turn this business around and make it profitable. Change our processes, become efficient, and really embrace this cherished culture. And that has to do with changing our leadership. And he said, here's the outsourcing plan. I'll just show it to you. There are several divisions here. There are 400 people. And in 18 months, if we don't turn this business around, we're all out of jobs. And this is the outsource plan. This is what things will go. So we knew it was very good. I was part of that turnaround. I was leading the design and creative group for new product introduction materials. And he said, I'm going to come around and ask each one of you What's your vision for this role? Why do you want to succeed, and why do you want to succeed? So he did, and he asked me, and I said, my vision for this role is to be that supplier of choice for all of our product managers, their new product introductions. Why do you want to succeed? That's what I do. That's how I'm wired. I said, why do you want Peoria to succeed? I want my son to work here. My part of the turnaround was a project to move creative from analog to digital. So typesetting, pre-press, creative design, all of that, and move it to a digital platform. And so I began researching because that's what I was comfortable with. And every time I met with Neil about my project, I wasn't executing. Here's more research. Here's what Kodak has. Here's what IBM has. Here's what Apple has. I wasn't getting it done. So one day I went in to meet with him. I was dreading it, and he said, "You know what, Catherine, let's go take a walk." And that was one of the things for guidance. Take a walk outside. As we're walking, he said, "So tell me about Shay." And I said, "I'm the son at that time. What's he doing?" He said, "Wouldn't it be something when Shay grows up? He comes from a Wouldn't it be something if he led the group you're leading now?" And he said, "Is it ready for Shay?" I said, "Why no." He said, "What would you have to do to get ready for your son?" I said, "Well, we need all the latest technology. We would need everything we need to be systematized. We would need so much more." And he said, "Of the groups you're looking at, what do you think?" I said, "I think Apple's the best." "What are all the components? What components would you put in for sure?" And as we talked through it, I outlined a action. And I said, "Neil, I'd love to keep talking to you, but I got to go. I got work to do." And within 6 weeks, the transformation was complete. And what happened? He connected my work, that turnaround, with my purpose and what my son did for him. So my message today: if you want your employees to do more than just show, if you want them to be engaged and empowered and energized, connect their work with their purpose in a way that they feel heard and understood and valued. Thank you. If you'd like to learn more, this is my book and my toolkit. My podcast is in season 5, also called Rockstar Millennials, and it comes out every other Wednesday. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Is Catherine?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for so much for your valuable time. That was really an energetic talk, and we have a few questions from our audience. I
Okay.
want to ask you one of them. How are millennials empowering the next generation of innovators?
How are millennials, say again, how are millennials
Empowering the next generation of innovators.
the next generation of innovators?
Yeah.
How are millennials embodying the next generation of innovators?
Innovators.
Innovators.
Innovators. Innovators.
Innovators.
Yeah.
People who innovate?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So engaging them, I think it comes back to one of those first slides, understanding their personal values you know, what's important to them. Also understanding their gifts, their skills, their talents from their perspective. And then again, framing what they do in terms of their values, in terms of their skills, and kind of that bigger picture. When Neil Lewis asked me what my strengths were, I said, I write, I speak, I lead projects. So very literal. And he said, here's what I see. I see that you have an eye for potential, you have a head for business, and you have a heart for people. So much more engaging. So I would apply that same thinking as you are engaging innovators. Look beyond just those literal skills, but what are some of the other bigger picture skills and values that they bring?
Thank you so much, Catherine. Thank you for answering. And we have a few more questions from our audience. We will post
Okay.
it to your email so you can respond there.
They're going to be an email. I see this one in the chat. How can organizations help millennials connect their personal purpose to their everyday work?
Yeah.
It's that know your people. What is their purpose? Why do they want to succeed? Why do they want the company or the business to succeed? And understanding their larger purpose, and then framing things that way. I had a gentleman at Caterpillar who said, I'm here to learn skills. I was leading a PR group, and he said, I'm here to learn skills so I can go run my own PR agency. Okay. And so I would give him assignments and say, okay, if you're going to run your own firm, here's an experience you need to have. Here's something you need to learn how to do. So understanding his larger purpose helped me give him experiences that were going to be valuable for him, which was engaging to him.
Yes, thank you so much, Catherine. Thank you so much for your valuable time. Really appreciate it. And be on the backstage and please join the next session, please.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.